Hey guys, how are you today? I am hot. I am really trying to stay cool, and I pray that you all are too. I know the heat index today at the hottest time of the day was 112. It was hot, miserably hot, and you could just feel that dry, humid air when we opened the door to dismiss our students today. It was miserable just standing by that door. I have never seen it this hot this time of year. And I have never seen a heat wave last so long as it has. I think we maybe had 1 or 2 days last week where it was decent temperatures. But other than that, it has been miserably hot. And last year in July, we had like a week or two where it was hot. But after that, it was fine. And then I remember last week, one morning, it was actually cold, and I'm like, this is weird. I mean, it was pretty cold. I even mentioned it's cold this morning. My dad's like, oh, it feels good, and I'm like, no, it's kind of cold. But I don't know, guys. Things are wonky, and then you have all of these fires in different places. Greece, you have fires in Greece and Canada. Their fires are back up again. We have fires in the Canary Islands and Washington State, and my cat's knocking stuff over. Sorry. That's why I turned my head. Washington State, we have the fires that happened in Maui, and now it's come out that there's about 1,000, if not more, people that are missing, and a lot of them are children. And we have the wonderful government has only offered, from the last time I heard, each family $700, which is like a smack in the face. And we have all of these developers and people who have lots of money who are hounding people to buy their property. None of it makes sense, guys. None of this that happened in Maui makes sense. And something in my spirit tells me that something very dark and sinister happened here. Like, nothing is adding up. And all we can do is pray. Pray for the people. This is a spiritual battle, guys. What's happening in this world right now it's not the tribulation. We are not in the tribulation. But we see the birth pangs are increasing. And they are increasing daily. We've got California right now where they've had this. First, it was supposed to be a Hurricane Hillary, and it was a Category 4, and now it's been degraded down to a tropical storm. Well, they've had pretty bad flooding there, and people are literally having to climb in the trees to try to get away from this flooding. There was an earthquake, I think, right before it hit, and it was first they said it was a 6.0, then they said it was a 5.5, and then now they're saying it's a 5.1. And then Mexico, from the same system, from when it was a hurricane, when it hit Mexico, they've got massive flooding going on right now. It's horrific what it looks like right now. And then Vietnam, it's flooding. India's flooding. There's also landslides happening in California because of all this rain. It's just, I can't even begin to tell you everything that is happening in this world, and it's worldwide. But yet people are so glued to social media, so glued to the mainstream, or lamestream, as my dad likes to call it, media, that they're not paying attention, and they have no eyes to see what is happening in this world. And sadly, it's a lot of Christians. Oh, everything's fine, everything's normal. There is nothing wrong in this world. But then when I look around and I'm like, do you not see this, or do you not? Oh, this has always been going on. Not at this category. Not at this level. This is crazy. China, they have huge rocks that are pushing up out of the ground from pressure, and I believe it's pressure from magma buildup. They have rocks that are pushing up through the asphalt. These rocks were literally pushing up out of the asphalt, and then there was carp that were jumping out of the water. Just hundreds of them. Some of them were jumping into boats, and they were dying. And then you have bats. They're nocturnal. They were climbing up in trees midday. They were just climbing up in trees, lots of them. I seen 15 or 20 that were climbing up. And then you have other animals that are acting peculiar, I can't talk. and just all these different other anomalies that are happening. Animals are dying at an alarming rate. The seas are heating up, and I believe it's from magma underneath the ground. Guys, there is nothing in this world that is normal. And I hate to burst your bubble, but now they're already talking about another pandemic. And from what I'm reading and from what I'm hearing, September. Sometime in September. And you will be required to up again. I'm just like, God, now would be the perfect time to tell Jesus to come get us. But again, God's timing is perfect. He knows what he's doing. I'm just having a pity party because I'm like, God, I don't want to go through this again, and especially without my husband. But if God I'm a firm believer, if God brings you to it, he will bring you through it. There is just, I can't even begin to talk to you about everything that is happening in this world. It's just, it would take all day. I don't even have enough information to tell you everything that is happening. But from all that I'm hearing, and then plus we have normalization talks going on between Saudi Arabia and Israel, and there's talks about the Temple Mount and how they're wanting to, there's 4 red heifers that still qualify for the sacrifice, and they're talking about sacrificing one next September. Guys, I can hear the horse. I can hear the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, of the tribulation. I can hear them, and their hoofs are close. We are on the threshold of the tribulation, and it might not even happen right away. We don't know, but we see it all coming into place. Like I said, we are not in the tribulation, but everything is being set up for it. We are so close to going home. A sister sent me some information on, I am so sorry, guys. I don't know what my problem is today. I think I'm not jittery. I had a really good day at work, so thank you for your prayers, guys. It's definitely been, God's definitely helping. He's definitely helping me just to be able to make it through this. And I have been asking him for just to help me, just to know what to do. This is from Sister Mary. I pray this email finds you well and enjoying what's left of summer. Did you know that a lot of the watchmen are currently talking about bees' honey, Samson and his Gentile bride, in the store where he finds honeycomb in the lion? Jesus ate the honeycomb too. According to Jacob, Israel the name, Samson means son. And Patrick from Hourly Watch says the sun is going to be in the lion's stomach on Stellarium either now or on September. I can't remember exactly. And the number 23. I believe the 23rd of every month is significant, but evidently there's a lot of predictive programming concerning 23, and I've heard of that too. So, there's a lot going on right now, guys. There's a whole lot going on. I've seen that myself, that there have been a lot of brothers and sisters in Christ talking about honey, talking about honeycomb, talking about Samson, talking about his Gentile bride. Brother Aaron from Got a Minute, he talks about that a lot. There's so much going on, and then you have Sister Gigi. She's mentioned honeybees, and Sister Kim Fisher. Just so many different people, brothers and sisters in Christ, have been talking about these very things. And then we have Brother Patrick from Mallory Watch. He's been talking about the Revelation 12 sign. It's another Revelation 12 sign that is going to happen September 19th. And guys, I have been watching his videos, and I recommend you go and watch them. I will post them in the description box. I bawled when I watched these, and I felt the Holy Spirit all over me when I watched them. And not only does he show you, he talks to you and he explains things, And it's amazing. Like, I have Stellarium on my laptop, and I used to use it for my astronomy class. But Anthony helped me because working Stellarium just went right over my head. So he would work it for me, and then I would find the answers. I told him, I don't want you to tell me the answers. I just want you to help me navigate. And so we were kind of a team on that. And I tried to get on there the other day just to kind of look and kind of try to watch it with him and be on the same page as him, and I couldn't even figure out what I was doing. So that was a no-go. So, but it was really amazing, guys. It's so amazing. You know, in Daniel 9, I believe it is, he talks about how knowledge will increase. And I believe, yes, it was knowledge as far as technology, scientific breakthroughs, all of these different things, these advancements that mankind would make. But I also believe that it was talking about as far as biblical knowledge would increase too. That God would start to reveal more and more in the end times. And I truly believe that's what's happening right now, that God is revealing more and more to his watchmen and watchwomen, that he is showing these amazing discoveries that have been there the whole entire time, but now he's bringing that knowledge forth, and he's bringing man's understanding forth, and now we can understand the things that were once hidden from us. It is so amazing. God is amazing. He is so good. You know, it doesn't matter what you're going through, God is so good. I have felt such a detachment from this world. One of my best friends and I, we went out Saturday. We hadn't got together in a while, so we decided to get out together. And we were talking, and we had went to the mall just to walk around, and we went to a couple of different stores. And I looked at her and I said, you know, none of this is enjoyable. I said, I enjoy talking to you. I enjoy talking to you about the Lord, and you know, about everything that we're talking about. I said, but I am not getting any enjoyment from being here in the mall. I used to love shopping. I used to love going to the mall. I find no joy in it. And I know a lot of people say, oh, it's just the grief talking. It's more than that, guys. I have been talking to people who are not going through what I'm going through. And they are feeling the same thing, such a detachment from this world. You know, I told my parents, I said, yes, if the Lord tarries, I said, I wouldn't mind to have my own house. I said, but honestly, I said, I've been asking the Lord to make me content, to help me to be content in all my circumstances, no matter what they are, to help me to be content until he comes. And the Lord had told me that the house that I would get would be beautiful and more beautiful than anything I could ever comprehend, or I could ever realize it would be amazing. And I felt in my spirit when he told me that he was meaning my heavenly home. I truly believe that's what he was talking about, was my heavenly home. And I told God, I said, God, if it's not meant for me to have another house here on earth, I said, I'm okay with that. I said, I have a roof over my head. My cats have a roof over their head. They're happy. They're content. They have food. They have water. They have all their necessities. I have all of my necessities. I'm here with my parents who love me. I am blessed. I said, God, and I just want to be content. And if this is where you want me with until you come, because the Lord told me the house that you are in, the house that you are in will be the house that you will be raptured in. And I believe he was talking about my parents' house. Because it's like every house that I find, for one thing, every house that I love that I find is out of my price range. And I'm like, well, okay, I'll just keep an eye on it. I'll like it. I'll keep an eye on it. I'll see if the prices go down. And I'm not kidding you all. Every time I find a house that I like, it sells. It sells. And I'm like, okay, God, are you trying to tell me something? I truly believe that I may not have another house while I'm here on earth. And I am okay with that. I am okay with that. I told God, I said, I want to learn to be content, because I've been really lonely here lately. Just lonely for not so much for, another partner. I don't want another partner. My husband was the love of my life, and I have no desire to date. I've had a couple people say, well, maybe you just need to go out and you just need to date. You don't have to get serious, but maybe that will help with the loneliness. And I looked at him and I said, no. I said, and I'm not dissing anybody. I'm not talking about anybody else but me. This is how I feel. If you have remarried after the death of a spouse, do not think that this is about you, that I am not beating you up. This is about me. I have no desire to remarry. I have no desire to date again. I have no desire to find even a male friend. All my friends are female. And I have no desire for that, because if my husband was still alive, we would still be married. We would still be together. I want to be about my Father's business. And I told my mom up front, and I said, if I start dating again, I said, my attention is going to be taken off God. My full focus will not be on God. And I can't do that. Time is so short. I want to be about my Father's business. I want to be about encouraging people. And I want to be about witnessing to those who are lost and who don't know Jesus yet. Time is too short to worry about earthly, trivial things. It's time for us to come up out of this world and be separate. You cannot have one foot in the church and one foot in the world and think you're okay. It doesn't work that way. Now, I'm not talking about, guys, if you go and you watch a movie or you do things. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about one day you're living for Jesus, and the next day you're out clubbing and partying and sleeping around with people and doing drugs and drinking alcohol and just living just like the world. That's what I'm talking about. You do one thing one day, and the next day you're out and about in the streets. That's what I'm talking about. It's time to decide. There's no more time for you to sit on the fence. Time is over. We are going home at any second now. And you need to decide who you are going to serve. You cannot serve two masters. It is time to go home. I could be doing this video, and I could be gone. Many watching will be gone. If you do not know Jesus, now is the time to know Jesus. Now is the time to believe that he died on the cross for your sins, that he was the Son of God, that he was buried, and on the third day he rose again, and he died for the remission of your sins. The beautiful thing is you come as you are. You don't have to wait to get your life in order to come to Jesus. You come as you are. Jesus does this miraculous thing inside of you once you put your faith in him. This miraculous change starts to happen inside of you. And you start to change. The things that you once liked to do, you no longer find yourself liking to do. The places and the people you used to hang out with, you no longer want to no longer want to go there, and you no longer want to hang out with those people. The addictions that you have, the Lord starts weeding those out. And now, don't be wrong. Many people still battle with addictions. Sometimes it's a slow process. And other times it's an instantaneous release from them. When Anthony was a functioning alcoholic and a drug addict, when he gave his life to the Lord, God instantly delivered him of his alcohol and drug addiction. It's not like that with everybody. It was like that with my dad too. Other people still struggle with drugs. Other people still struggle with alcohol. Other people still have other struggles that they struggle with. When I got saved, God immediately delivered me from pornography. But it took a little bit longer for the alcohol. Now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't a drunkard, but I drank. I would get a buzz, and the Lord started convicting me on it. And it's gonna be 2 years here in October that I have not touched it at all. I haven't drank, smelt, had anything to do with alcohol. I don't. And I don't miss it. I do not miss it. And so some things are instantaneous and other things are not. So if you're still struggling, don't give up. Now that doesn't mean that you go out and you just, well, I'm not delivered of this yet, and you don't fight the temptation. Remember, Jesus was tempted 3 times by Satan. And every time he quoted scripture back to him and reminded him, man cannot live by bread alone. When he told him, if you're, are you hungry? Turn this, if you are God, if you truly are the Son of God, then turn this rock into a loaf of bread. And he said, it is written that you will not live by bread alone. Man will not live by bread alone. Then he took him to the highest, he took him out to an overreach. And he tempted him with, that if you will bow down to me, then everything you see is yours. And Jesus was like, I'm paraphrasing, guys, telling him basically that you will have no other gods but God. Like I said, I'm paraphrasing this. I'm sorry. I'm not perfect. I don't remember everything. Plus, it's been a long day. And then he took him to the highest precipice, and he said, if you truly are the Son of God, then throw yourself off this cliff, and the angels will catch you, because they will not allow your foot to even be battered. And Jesus is like, you shall not tempt the Lord your God. There's so many different things, guys. Yes, Jesus was tempted, but he didn't give in to that temptation. And God has made a way of escape for us. If you battle sexual addictions with having sex outside of marriage, then don't be alone with people. If you battle it with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, you have sexual issues that you want to have sex outside of marriage, then don't be in your houses alone. Definitely don't go in the bedroom. Probably shouldn't even sit on the couch if you're really struggling with it. When Anthony and I were dating, it was hard. He had been divorced for 8 years, and I had only been divorced for a couple of months. But my marriage had really honestly been over for almost 2 years. So we were both in kind of, in the same boat, and it was really hard. It was really hard to fight that temptation, but when that temptation, and I don't want to say we were perfect. We never fully gave in, but I'm not going to say we were perfect, and that's all I'm going to say on that matter. But when things got tough, and we could not resist, we started praying. And we would ask God to help us battle these temptations. Sometimes you got to pray through it. Sometimes you got to fight through it. If you go out and you buy alcohol with the intent of drinking it, and you're like, well, I'll quit after this, it's not going to happen. I remember I went out and I bought a 6-pack of wine coolers, and I know that's not heavy drinking, but I had went out and I bought a 6-case of wine coolers. And I drank one, and I started feeling very convicted. And I ended up pouring out almost every single one of those. They went right down the drain. And I told God, I said, I will not pick it up again, God. I need your strength to do this, though. I cannot do this on my own. But I'm taking this step of faith, and I'm saying, I am doing my part, and I am not touching anymore. And ever since then, he has given me the strength to say no. I'm not going to lie and say I'm not tempted sometimes. But I pray, I ignore it, and I go on my way. Guys, sometimes we have to fight through our temptations. You know, I can honestly say, as I sit here and I think back on my life, I never dreamed my life would be the way that it was. But I don't regret any of it because it led me to Jesus. My first marriage was a nightmare. I was mentally and verbally abused. And it was bad. But the Lord helped me through it. And I wasn't even where I needed to be with the Lord at this point. He wasn't even a thought in my mind. And he helped me through it. And it brought me back to him. And I remember, because my husband at the time was an atheist. And he had me bordering on the brink of even doubting if there was a God. And I remember it was August 2011. My ex had just left me. I had no job. I had no money. He basically told me he was not coming home. And that was it. I came back home and I was contemplating suicide because he had me so mentally abused and thinking that nobody would love me if he left me, that I would never find anybody else again, that I could not live without him. That's what a narcissist does. They make you feel like you're dependent on them. They twist things, and he would always tell me, he would never come out and say, if I don't get my way, I'm going to leave. He'd always say, well, if you don't do this, then I'm going to leave. If you don't let me do this, then I'm going to leave. And it got bad, really bad. But I remember I came downstairs in this very room, probably about this very same spot that I'm sitting in. I was standing here, and I just started talking. And I said, God, if you are truly real, then I need to know, because I'm at the end of my rope. I'm at the end of my road, and I don't know what to do. And if you are real, I really need to know that you are here. And all of a sudden, I felt this warm, loving embrace. And it just enveloped me from head to toe. And I just bawled my eyes out. And I said, oh my God, I am so sorry. I said, I'm sorry for ever doubting you. Can you please forgive me? And I felt this immediate joy and this release once I said that. And my countenance began to change. I was an ugly person before. My parents and my family could not even stand to be in the same room with me because I would snap. I was so miserable, so depressed, so hateful that my family would even be scared to come down me and tell me that supper was ready. And I remember me going upstairs the next morning when everyone was up. And it was on Sunday morning. And I came in and my face was just glowing. And they looked at me and they said, are you all right? And I said, I gave my life to the Lord last night. And they're like, what? And I said, I got saved last night. And they were like, my mom just started shouting and crying and praising God. And my dad was just smiling ear to ear. My sister was crying. And I'm like, can I go to church with you this morning? They're like, yeah. And I never looked back. Never looked back. No matter what you're going through, God is always there for you. And don't think that you've gone too far. That He will not take you and just hold you and love you. Time is too short, and you need to come as you are. If you're waiting to be a better person, then you're going to be waiting for eternity. Come now while we're still under the period of grace, because this door is about to shut. And the true church, those who truly have believed in Jesus Christ and his finished work on the cross, knowing that he alone finished the work, and there's nothing that we can do to earn our salvation. If you don't come now, you're going to be left for the worst 7 years in human history. And I can't say that the tribulation will start exactly right after the rapture happens. There could be a time period because the rapture is going to be, it's going to leave behind destruction, because there's going to be cars in motion. There's going to be buses in motion. There's going to be airplanes in motion, trains in motion, all these different types of vehicles, and there's going to be mass confusion and panic and people being trampled because people are panicking because somebody they were just talking to just a second ago literally just disappeared. People are going to be sitting in cars, and the person who was behind the steering wheel is going to disappear. And that car is no longer going to be under control of a human, and it's going to crash. Planes are going to follow the sky when pilots disappear. Buses are gonna crash when the driver disappears. Taxi cabs, trains are gonna derail. It is going to be horrific. It is not going to be a mess-free event. It's gonna leave behind destruction. It's gonna leave behind death. I don't know if people really stop to think about that. It's not, in that right there is gonna bring a lot of chaos, and that could be the event that ushers in the Antichrist. But who's to say if there's not a period where people are left picking at the pieces of their life, asking and demanding to have answers, and that's when the Antichrist comes on the scene? We don't know. We won't be here. So I'm not honestly worried about that. I pray for people. Don't get me wrong. Don't take that I'm being callous. I care about people. I pray that everyone would come to know Jesus. But I know that's not going to happen. But I still pray for them. And I pray that they come to their senses before it's too late, even if they have to go through the tribulation. I have family right now that are acting crazy, that are not acting right. They're not in the Lord. God's not even a forethought in their mind. And I know you have family like that too. But we're not giving up on them. We're not giving up on them. We're going to keep praying for them until the rapture happens, and we got to witness to them. We got to tell them about Jesus. We got to tell them about the rapture. We got to tell them not to believe the lies of the enemy once we're gone. That it wasn't aliens, that it wasn't some climate disaster, that it was Jesus Christ taking us home. We got to tell them not to take the mark of the beast. We got to tell them that if they take this chip or whatever it is, which I truly believe it's going to be a chip, that if they take this mark, however it may be implemented, that they will be damned to hell, that there will be no coming back from that. You've got to tell them that if they take this mark, they may live here on earth, but their eternal soul will be damned. And that, yes, there's a big chance if you don't take the mark that you're going to be martyred. But know that to be absent from this body is to be present with Christ. And Jesus, a lot of people say, all you talk about is the rapture. All you talk about is Jesus. Jesus is my everything. And going home is what I desire to do. I could care less about the current. I don't even know what's playing in theaters right now. I could care less. I could care less about these secular artists that are playing. People were talking to me about country artists and do you know who this is? And I looked at it and I'm like, no. And they just kind of looked at me funny because I had no clue. I think it was somebody named Chris Stapleton. I had never heard of the man. I have never heard his music. And they're like, oh, do you know who he is? And apparently he's some big country singer. And I was looked at them and I said, no. And then of course, people are gaga over Beyonce and Taylor Swift. And they're deep and dark in witchcraft. And people want to look at you, Christian people want to look at you like you're crazy. when you say that, and they're like, no, they're not. Taylor Swift did a ritual on one of her shows. I mean, it was a flat out ritual. You cannot tell me that was not a ritual. I did not watch all of it. I just seen a small smidgen of it. But from what I seen, it was very dark and very ritualistic. I don't listen to secular music. I don't watch secular movies. I haven't watched secular movies since Anthony died. I have been asking God to remove things from me that don't need to be there. I have been asking Him to help me to draw closer to Him and farther away from this world. And it's cost me friends. And it hurts. And I pray for them. But I'm not going to let people drag me down. And don't let people drag you down. You have to decide for yourself what is more important. Jesus or this world. The things of this world are going to fade away. But things, heavenly things, will not. Your eternity, your soul is eternal. And I don't know about you, but I can't wait to get my glorified body. I can't wait to not struggle with my weight anymore. I can't wait to not have to worry about sin and not worry about pain and grief and crying. I can't wait to not feel lonely anymore. There is so much more for us that is waiting on the other side than here. Don't let this world distract you. And it will. Satan will use everything in his arsenal to distract you. I love you all. And that's why I say all of this. You know, sometimes I feel like I get on here and I just ramble. I really do. And I apologize if I do. That's just how I am created. I ramble. I have always rambled. There would be times that I would be talking to Anthony and literally mid-sentence I would change the subject and he'd be like, what? Because I changed the subject and he had no clue what subject we were on now. And then I would have to go back and apologize and go back to my previous conversation and then bring the other conversation. And that's just how I've always been. You know, I used to joke around with him and say, well, I think I have undiagnosed ADHD. I have a very short attention span for an adult. I really do. When I have a task, I'm really good at staying on the task. But if I get off that task, I forget all about it. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get off here. I don't really like to go over 30 minutes. I really try to keep them down shorter, but here lately it seems like I just can't stop. I just love talking about the Lord and the things of the Lord, and I love you all, and I love to spend time with you all. But really, guys, if you do not know Jesus, now is the time. Don't hesitate. Don't wait. Because time is so short, and we are going home. God bless you all. I love you all, and I will talk to you soon. Maranatha.